As we do this, we're 50 plus thousand views on one of my hot takes, I guess. I didn't really view it as such when I
You got some
went on.
takes.
Yeah, it's some Twitter feed stuff going on with. I basically said, hey, with all these St. Francis University transfer portal guys stepping up over the last 2 days, I mean, my feed was completely filled with these things coming through. I was like, well, is anybody staying? I mean, maybe that's what we should be asking people to tweet out, I thought. And so,
Yeah.
you, me, our friend Carlo, we were talking on Sunday night over at Dingo Talk, and we kind of were like, yeah, you saw all these St. Francis guys too, despite all the stuff we've been talking about with respect to the transfer portal. Jim Catanzaro telling us what the state of it is and the fact that it's not going to get any better on January 2nd, I'm sure. And then all of a sudden,
Worse.
holy cow. And the thing that amazes me, JB, the number of guys that are going to the portal from St. Francis with 4 years of eligibility left, which kind of suggests to me that at least some of them opted out completely this year, or maybe sat on a scholarship and avoided playing somehow, some way. And so, I don't know what was exactly going on, but the fact that they all have these 4 years of eligibility, that's kind of crazy to me. And guess what, guys? I got a little hint for you guys at St. Francis. D3 might be the right place for you. I know it's tough to hear that. I know it's tough to suck that up sometimes. And there are state schools where you can get good tuitions in D3 for wherever you're coming from. Maybe it's the correct answer for you. Maybe, just maybe. What's your take on this one? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think it would be different if St. Francis wasn't winless. Like if they went 7-4, or they, just missed the FCS playoffs or something, it'd be one thing. But this is like clearly a program that's kind of in the bottom rung, and like there's probably guys on that roster who couldn't play for North Central or some of the WIAC teams or Bethel. And there's probably, so the fact that they're like a D1 or bust mentality, I'm not a huge fan of that. And, with them going to the PAC and what a great conference that is, I mean, I think that there are some guys that are going to learn the hard way because like Coach Cat said, the opportunities and what we know is coming from the NCAA legislation or whatever they call it is going to really come down hard. And there's going to be a lot of kids without homes, and it's going to suck. I feel bad for them.
I agree with you. And, we'll see where it goes. We'll follow up on it. We'll probably see what happens when we're down or over in Canton because right around that time is, when the Stag Bowl is when that window opens for Division One. I traced one guy's post back to September where he basically said he was going to enter the transfer portal in December, back in September. Granted, he didn't have the right information about which window would be his. They get the January window, but that's how long some of this has been telegraphed. And my thought is, you were still at an FCS school getting an FCS training of sorts, and if the coaches stick around, you still have an FCS experience of some sort over there. Why didn't you make the most of it this year? If you basically said, I'm going to just save my year of eligibility, look around. Unless you had schools actually saying to you, we're going to want you when this thing opens up, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, then what were you doing with that semester? That's the stuff that I just don't really appreciate in this whole thing. And we'll see where it goes ultimately here for those St. Francis guys. And I'm serious. If there's somebody watching this from St. Francis, DM us if you're going to stick around. We'd love to hear your story because I think that's the story I'm most interested to broadcast, that narrative of why you would stick around, because I think some people don't understand it out there, and I think it's a valuable story.
Yeah, and I wish I could remember the name of the young man. I think it's sort of like Maldonado or something like that, but he's a kid who posted an Instagram story or video where basically he was like, I have a unique perspective because I played in D3 and then I did like a a fifth year is at a Division I FCS level thing, and he was like, T3 was way better. So, I mean, I guess it all depends on your perspective on things. And that thing got thousands, tens, 20,000 views or whatever. And, the grass isn't always greener. So hopefully guys will keep, their options open. And there's a lot of great schools in Pennsylvania at this level, and D2 and the PSAC, which is, another great, conference at the D2 level. And so, yeah, hopefully these guys will figure something out.
You know what, JB? Let's do it. Let's go do some crunch time for round 1 here of the 2025 playoffs in season 18 of In the Huddle. Well, here we go, folks. The brackets, we'll just do a quick once-over here before telling you all about things. And here's Mount Union's bracket, and you'll see who advanced there. You want the green check mark now. That's what you're after here, folks. The green check mark means you advance.
Green check, huh? Okay.
Yes, sir. And there's North Central on the left side. Let's go over to the right side. We'll see the Wartburg side of things, and you can see Wheaton with that crushing score. We'll talk about that briefly later on in our Crunch Time segment. And then also the Christopher Newport side of things, Susquehanna. We got to talk about that game in many different ways. And Springfield, we do have highlights of that game. And I say that because, as everybody knows, the debacle of round 1 video. Here's how it played out for those that don't know the full story of everything. Susquehanna and Washington Jefferson was fine for the most part. I think they may have had one small hiccup, if at any at all, but that was it. But we'll also talk about some stuff in that game because that game was just crazy in the second quarter. So crunch time coming up for that. We've got the Cortland at Springfield game, which never made it to air. We only have the second half of highlights, but thanks to Max Berkowitz over there for getting us that much of the game, at least, so we can show you something from that game. Then we have the, what was the other game? My game. Yeah, how could I forget? Framingham State, technically the visitors at their own home site at Bowditch Field. That was versus LaGrange. That had sound, no video. And then we had the game between Muhlenberg hosting Union that was basically out for the entire game. We had Hanover versus Grove City visiting, and that one had no sound. We had Wheaton hosting Crown, and we lost the first 9 minutes of that game apparently. So they did get that right eventually. And then also Chapman at Whitworth, their replays didn't work, and so they would go to a replay and it would be no replay. It would just be their logo kind of jerking on the screen in a weird way. And so what a weird day Saturday was. And the concern we really have here is, can we find a solution before Saturday with a holiday in between now and poor staffing most likely at the sites, the 16 sites, which are all new because no host repeats between the first round and the second round in these situations. So we've got 16 new hosts for this year. Granted, some did this last year, but guess what? Springfield did this last year, and look how well it went for Springfield. And that's not their fault from everything we can tell. That was the NCAA and ESPN sort of fudging that up at the last minute and not knowing what to do to get them back online. So we'll see where this goes, JB. We'll hopefully have some updates when we go do our live show, whenever it is this week. But I'm going to let you have your 30,000-foot view. If you want to hit that, feel free to hit that. Hit some football. We're going to, later on after that, we'll have crunch time for the playoffs. We'll talk about the playoffs a little bit. Then we'll have Crunchtime Express for the bowl games and talk about those and go to your MVPs and among other things. So hit it with your 30,000-foot view, JB.
Well, this weekend was a great one if you were a Panther or maybe member of a Pride. Maybe not so great if you were an ESPN Plus subscriber. Lots of technical difficulties there, which made viewing the first round playoff games a challenge for everybody. And ironically, and I don't mean this as a kind of negative, but in a lot of ways, not just because they were available, but the bowl games kind of outclassed the playoff games in many ways. There were some really great contests. And I think one of the things that we've seen since the COVID era was canceled by the NCAA and all these schools and all that is that taking football games of any kind for granted has kind of gone out the window. There was a time when people used to say these bowl games were meaningless and that the kids didn't really want to play in them. Well, they do now, and that was really clear. I mean, if you saw the end of the Wabash ONU game, that was fantastic. The Utica came back and almost either tied it up or could have potentially won their bowl game. It was just some great finishes kind of across the board, and some great football with those 22 games that we got over this weekend. And bowls are back, and hopefully there will be some more in the future, because clearly there's a market for that. It would just be nice if they weren't all at noon. It was great that the Fusion Bowl was on Friday night. It was great that that the Open Doors Bowls were spread out. That you got to see Westminster play Mount St. Joe's at 6 o'clock. So that was nice. But hopefully you can start spacing out a little more. Same thing with the Isthmus and the Lakefront. They were a little spread out too, which was nice. Particularly the Isthmus Bowl being a little later in the day, so you can focus in on that. But yeah, great action and a lot of fun football.
Let's talk about the football. Like I said, we're going to split Crunch Time into two pieces here. First, we're going to do the playoffs. So let's go there. This is Crunch Time for week number 12, round one of the playoffs. There you go. Of the 2025 Division III college football season. We're going to start in the Mount Union bracket with Union at Muhlenberg. 7 minutes into the game, you're going to see here Joe Curran getting a 47-yard touchdown pass from a very, very ill Patch Flanagan. More on that in a second. 7-0, Union takes the lead in this game as Flanagan had basically been sick all week, and we'll see what happens to him in the third quarter. 4:13 left first quarter. Aiden Mack from Muhlenberg, a 13-yard touchdown pass from Luke Spang. 7 apiece at that point. We're tied. We'll go to the second quarter, minute and a half into it. Cam Fries, a 2-yard touchdown pass from Patch Flanagan. 14-7 at that point. Union back with the lead. But Muhlenberg responds again 5 minutes later. Caleb Pasol, a 9-yard touchdown pass from Luke Spang. 14 apiece. Muhlenberg added a field goal 5 minutes into the second half. So we'll go to 9:15 left third quarter. This is Cole Brisson intercepted. He was in for Flanagan, who was literally getting sick on the sideline, according to players. Leo Doberman with this interception, returning it quite far, 48 yards to the Union 9-yard line. 2 plays later, 8:17 left third quarter, Dante Mahaffey, a 5-yard touchdown run. He celebrates, falls down, but hey, he practices barefooted, so he doesn't really care. 24-14 at that point. It's Dante Mahaffey with that big touchdown. Third quarter, 1:12 left. Patch Flanagan back in the game. A 6-yard touchdown run, 24-20 at that point. It's Muhlenberg still leading, but Union trying to come back. But Muhlenberg, a minute into the fourth quarter, gets another score. Luke Spang finds Aiden Mack for a 4-yard touchdown pass, 31-20. 6 minutes later, Gil Rivera, a 35-yard touchdown pass from Patch Flanagan. The 2-point conversion failed. It's 31-26. Muhlenberg would actually add a field goal with 1:38 left to make it an 8-point game. Here's the last chance for Union, and Patch Flanagan intercepted by Doberman again, and that would do it. Muhlenberg wins this game 34-26 over the Dutchman. Patch Flanagan, 341 total yards, 1 rushing, 3 passing touchdowns, and an interception. Luke Spang from Muhlenberg, 277 total yards, 3 passing touchdowns. We'll finish out on the Mount Union quadrant here. with the game I attended, LaGrange at Framingham State. LaGrange was down 3-0 early on in this game. 5 minutes into the second quarter, it's Jaheim Daniels from Framingham State getting his 37-yard touchdown run to make it a 7-3 score in favor of Framingham State. Then we want you to see this play here. 6 minutes left, second quarter. 3rd and 7, and Marcusella is incomplete. He was looking for Adrian Surratt, but targeting is called against Ched Smith. We'll take another look at it here. We'll talk about this later on in the show. Eventually, it was overturned at halftime, and I'll explain why later. 43 seconds left in the second quarter. Kirk Scott, a 2-yard touchdown run for LaGrange. 10-7 at that point. LaGrange leading. The Panthers, as you said, having a good day across the country. 13:30 left, third quarter, 4th and 6. And here's a punt block by LaGrange, and they take the ball near the end zone, 24-yard line actually is where they get the ball on Framingham State's side of the field. So here is 2 plays later to Saris Bozeman, a 24-yard touchdown run to make it a 17-7 game in favor of LaGrange 2 minutes into the second half. Then with 1:22 left in the third quarter, Framingham State tries to come back. Adrian Surratt, a 15-yard touchdown pass from Michael Marcusella. 17-14, Framingham State Rams trail at that point. Fourth quarter, 3:15 left. It's Bozeman again for LaGrange. A 2-yard touchdown run, 24-14, LaGrange leading. We'll go to 23 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Marcusella barely crosses the plane. We do think it was the right call in the long run, but it is a 24-21 game. They needed the onside kick. They failed to get the onside kick, and that would do it. LaGrange hangs on the road, but as the home team, 24-21. Marcusella, 25 for 45, 278 yards, 1 passing, 1 rushing touchdown, and an interception. To Saris Bozeman for LaGrange, 14 rushes, 65 yards, and the 2 rushing touchdowns that you saw. JB, the Mount Union quadrant, you'll take another look at the scores here. Mm-hmm. Good action, to say the least. 1 possession games in both of them. And I think some folks really overplayed the idea that LaGrange would just drown out Framingham State. It didn't happen, especially in that grass field.
Yeah, I saw these lines are 30-something points or something like that. It was supposed to be a blowout. But, keep in mind this is a team that, flew up 1,000 miles, real grass field. It was wet, I think, that day, 40 degrees and raining, so tough conditions. And, thank you, Frank, for showing up because apparently there wouldn't have been a press conference there if you weren't able to, have questions or something. I don't know who they would have put in there. But at least you were there, and the families from Georgia who couldn't make the trip and couldn't watch it on TV, at least saw some of the stuff that you guys had posted on Twitter and elsewhere. So yeah, will be a different story for LaGrange in Mount Berry or Rome, Georgia. It'll be interesting to see. We'll talk about that more this week.
And again, hats off to Patch Flanagan for what he pulled off there for Union, despite being really, really ill. The Daily Gazette here in Schenectady, New York, really put it into the words of basically he threw up constantly for days before that game and during the day of the game, and still played the way he did with over 300 yards in the game. Patch Flanagan, unbelievable job. So
a warrior.
Yeah, absolutely is. He deserves some definite honors in this postseason. That's all I'm going to say about that at this point. Let's go to the North Central Quadrant, and we're going to start out with Grove City at Hanover. 4:10 left in the first quarter. You're going to see this great pass. Ethan Wiley finding Seth McGurty, and he gets to the 2-yard line, and it's popped out by Kane Powell-Smith and recovered by Brian Wall. He didn't get to the end zone. It's returned 35 yards to the 37-yard line. My goodness, Hanover dodges a bullet there. Then, 9 plays later, 14:22 left, second quarter, Ian Rudbush, a 5-yard touchdown run for Hanover. 7-0 at that point is the lead. We'll go to the third quarter, 52 seconds left, and Rudbush again, this time a 1-yard touchdown run. This was an 18-play drive that took 10:37 off the clock. 17-0, Hanover led the game. 8:29 left, fourth quarter. Grove City shows up on the scoreboard with Daniel Sullivan getting a 12-yard touchdown pass from Wiley to make it a 17-7 game at that point. 2:46 left, fourth quarter, though. Hanover responds. Jack Pennington, an 8-yard touchdown pass from Rudbush. So 23-7 was the score in favor of Hanover at that point. A minute later, Chase Rankin for Grove City gets an 8-yard touchdown run, 23-15. They still had a chance. They forced Hanover to a 3rd and 4 from the Grove City 29-yard line with 55 seconds left, but they decide to call offsides on Grove City, and that was enough to give them a first down by penalty. Hanover was able to run out the clock and win the game 23-15. Hanover's defense held Grove City to 93 rushing yards and Robash 253 total yards, 2 rushing, 1 passing touchdowns on the day. Also in the North Central Quadrant, Co at Concordia, Wisconsin. 4:21 left first quarter. Devin Kolish gets a 12-yard touchdown pass from Brady Kelly to make it 7-0, Co leading. Then 10:43 left second quarter. Quincy Drummer gets a 2-yard touchdown run to extend that lead for Co to 14-0. The Co Hawks rolling, but Concordia does try to respond. 2 minutes left second quarter. Jacob Pugh, a 2-yard touchdown run. 14-7 at that point, but Co would make it 17-7 before halftime with a field goal. We'll go third quarter, 9:08 remaining, and it's Jerron Centers, a 23-yard touchdown pass from Brady Kelly, making it 23-7, and it was all Co the rest of the way, 44-7 over Concordia. Roman Funk, 20 for 30, 175 yards, 2 interceptions on the day. Brady Kelly, 22 for 25, 267 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. The funk is over in the Concordia, Wisconsin world there, JB, at least for this year. And Hanover wins another one-possession game. So 3 out of 4 games we talked about already are just one-score games. So round 1 really did deliver, at least so far from what we've seen. What was your takeaway, he said, in this quadrant?
No, I definitely underestimated Hanover. I didn't think that they necessarily had like the size or the strength to man up against a team that's usually as big and strong running team like Grove City. And boy, was I wrong. They held them to 93 rushing yards. Their QB, Roadbush, had a great game. Was pretty much unstoppable. And so credit Grove City for making a run there at the end. It was a little. Too little, too late, but it's still a great season for the Wolverines and a great run for that senior class. Hanover is just kind of surprising. Now, unfortunately, they got to go to Naperville, and that's that. But great win for them. I think only the second playoff win in their program history, at least in the modern era. So congratulations, and what I say, it was a good day to be a Panther.
Biggest upset in history. You're not counting on that happening, possibly? I mean, come on, JB. Hanover's got something up their sleeve, right? We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, let's go to the Wartburg quadrant here.
Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, Frank.
Yeah.
This is Mike Tyson used to say.
Good point. I like that, actually. Let's go to Crown at Wheaton in the Wartburg quadrant. And we'll go 4:53 left in the first quarter because we only have this video. This is where things started on the video. And here is a block punt for the second time for a touchdown for the second time in the first quarter for Wheaton. And that is this time blocked by Brett Dieter, and it's run in by Tiger Cannon. They reversed roles because the first time they had it, basically Tiger blocked it, I believe, and Brett scored it. So kind of an amazing little duo going on there. And so then also 1:48 left first quarter, Ben Juska, an 11-yard touchdown pass from Mark Vercucci. 34-0 in the first quarter, 76-14 was the final in favor of Wheaton. Wheaton's offense outgained Crown 436 to 255. Probably could have gone 800 to 255. They really put their foot on the gas. Ben Juska, 2 rushes, 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing and 2 receiving touchdowns, I should say, on the day. Let's go also to Chapman at Whitworth in this quadrant. This was a heck of a game, and we'll see here 5 minutes into the second quarter, Cade Zimmerman gets a 6-yard touchdown pass from Tyler Pacheco, 6-0 after they missed a 2-point conversion. Carson Nichols will make it 9-0 with a short field goal in the second quarter, but with 1:35 left in the second quarter, Chase Gomez gets a 6-yard touchdown pass from Logan Lacio. It's 9-7, Chapman leading Whitworth at halftime. The teams would trade field goals heading into and early in the fourth quarter, I should say, making it 12-10 Chapman. So we'll go 1:38 left fourth quarter. Cade Zimmerman again from Pacheco, 28-yard touchdown pass, 18-10. But let's go back and look at something that happened here. You'll see the start of it. Pacheco's making a motion to the sideline of Whitworth, and they slap him for an unsportsmanlike conduct for it, and they take the penalty on the extra point. And of course, it's no good from 35 yards. It would have been good for 20, not for 35. So it's an 8-point game. Let's go to the final Whitworth drive. 4th and 2 with 36 seconds remaining at the Chapman 40-yard line. Lassio complete to Dietz, who keeps running and running for 26 yards to the 14, and the referees do not stop the clock. It keeps running. And so they have to go gather themselves, finally get a playoff, and you're going to see another short pass inbounds. They have to spike the ball, and eventually they have 5 seconds left. They have an incompletion to make it 1 second left. Taylor Wells, a 6-yard touchdown pass from Dietz, 18-16. What a play that was all around, but they still needed the 2-point conversion to tie, and you'll see the attempted Wildcat jump pass is knocked away. It would have been illegal touching on top of that, though, so either way, it's no good, and Chapman holds on. 18-16. Dietz, 8 catches, 108 yards. Zimmerman from Chapman, 8 catches, 120 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Wow. Tyler Pacheco is a great quarterback, but gets a little too emotional sometimes out there, and that was one of those moments where it just turned to your sideline and get off the damn field, because he almost cost them. He almost put them into an overtime scenario, and who knows what would happen there on the road. JB, your takeaways from this quadrant?
Yeah, well, I mean, the second game was really a great kind of conclusion to the first round playoff games. It was really close. Yet another, less than one possession game, like a field goal, right? But Chapman does it again. That's the thing with this team. They find ways to kind of come back and hang on. The Wheaton game kind of was what we expected. We said that this was going to be the biggest mismatch. But if you listen to Around the Nation, there's some nice post-game commentary from some of the seniors for the Polars, and just like the pride that they have in turning that program around, making the playoffs, winning their conference championship. And so I don't want to dwell on the outcome. Those guys are winners, and they've done a great job. And so I thought that was a nice add to that one.
Absolutely. And Wheaton is a good team. Let's not kid ourselves here. Even though they have their trouble with North Central every year, they are still a very, very good team. We'll see how far. Yeah, we'll see how far they get ultimately in this playoff run. Let's go to the final quadrant, the Christopher Newport quadrant, as Washington Jefferson visited Susquehanna. The teams were tied at 7 apiece after the first quarter. Second quarter was just crazy, so stick with me here. 49 seconds into it, here's Andrew Sharp getting a 26-yard touchdown run, multiple chances to be tackled. He got through. 14-7, W&J leading this game. 6:23 left second quarter. Daniel Growney, a great 53-yard pass in stride. Josh Ehrlich found him there, 14 apiece. Then 2 plays later, looks like Kellen Stahl is intercepted by Xavier Maple. But what is this? If you look, you're going to see on the right side of the replay of the video, and it's a personal foul, Steven Siebert, for targeting. And we'll take another look at that later. It was upheld in this case, and that's a whole different discussion for later on. It led to a W&J field goal. The next play after the field goal, look at this play here as Josh Ehrlich finds Carter McCauley, 42-yard pass. He gets to the 1-yard line and the ball is popped out. It's laying in the end zone. It's a touchback for W&J. We're going to talk about this play as well later on. This was correctly called, but we'll explain a couple things later on about how the review worked on this one when we get a chance to later on. Just before halftime, though, here's W&J's field goal attempt from 37 yards, blocked by Xavier Maple and run all the way back by Romero Lavlis. My goodness, Susquehanna's got the lead at halftime, and that's just an incredible turn of events, 21-17. 8:45 left third quarter. Michael Robbins, the 5-yard touchdown pass from Josh Ehrlich makes it 28-17. And now we're going to go back and forth here. 4:35 left third quarter. John Peduzzi for W&J, a 17-yard touchdown pass from Stahl. 28-24 they trail. Susquehanna, 32 seconds into the fourth quarter, has Rashawn Lamons get a 2-yard touchdown run, 35-24. Susquehanna added a field goal 8 minutes later to make it a 14-point game. W&J had a Kobe DeRosa 1-yard touchdown run just after the 4-minute mark in the fourth quarter, make it 38-32 as the 2-point conversion rush was good. After the 2-minute timeout, though, on a 4th and 1, Rashawn Lamons in the Wildcat gains 9 yards. They put Ehrlich out as a receiver here, and Lamons was able to run it himself for the 9 yards to end this game. Susquehanna wins 38-32. Peduzzi, 10 catches, 148 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Rashawn Lamons, 26 rushes, 121 yards, 1 rushing touchdown for him. And also, Cortland at Springfield, only the second half video we have here. They were tied at 7 at halftime. In the third quarter was a chess match, mainly played around the midfield stripe. This punt put Springfield, though, in awful field position, their own 4-yard line toward the end of the third quarter. But in this drive that came up, here is TJ Welch finding Luke Zoller from right down the street from me right now. He went to Burnt Hills while his brother went to Ballston Spa. Don't ask that question. But Luke Zoller with a 44-yard catch to the 17-yard line. Then with 10:51 left in the fourth quarter, here's a 4th and 1 from the 8. Bodie Dunn gets 2 yards. They went for it and get it. And then 8:52 left fourth quarter. Bodie Dunn again, this time a 1-yard touchdown run on the 13th play of the 7-minute and 20-second drive is good. 14-7. Springfield leads. We'll go to the next chance for Cortland. They have a 3rd and 7. Mike Resigno looking for Joe Idivio, and it's incomplete. So they're forced to punt. Moving forward to around the 2-minute mark of the fourth quarter, here is T.J. Welch, the 38-yard touchdown run to make it 21-7. Springfield leading Cortland. Then just after the 2-minute timeout, 4th and 10 for Cortland. And again, Resigno can't find Idivio, and that would do it. 21-7. Springfield again eliminates Cortland from the playoffs. Resigno, 224 total yards, but T.J. Welch, 195 total yards, and that 1 rushing touchdown you just saw. JB, really, really fun action there. Yes, Springfield was a multi-possession game, but it felt like a 1-possession game for most of that game. And Springfield just draws the clock down and wins these games that way, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do. And I think a lot of people should be giving them more than a puncher's chance against Hopkins in the next round, because if you're not used to seeing this kind of football, it can be a challenge to adjust to. And this defense is playing better than I think a lot of people, myself included, expect. So I've been really just impressed by Springfield. They kind of overcame some early season struggles and have just been on a roll, steamrolling straight ahead. And they controlled the ball or clock for 22 minutes in the second half. I mean, it's crazy. No wonder why they didn't need the first half highlights. It's just, the second half is all Springfield, so there you go.
And that is playoffs crunch time for round 1 of the 2025 Division III college football season. Okay, JB, we'll get to MVPs and predictions later on after we do Crunchtime Express, because some of your MVP selection activity did center around the bowls, so we'll save that for later. But we did want to talk about a topic that I think a lot of people have been a little bit, not wrong, but misinformed about when it comes to 2 things. Number 1, targeting and how it works in terms of the reviews for targeting. And number 2, reviews generally. Yeah, wake up. Reviews generally in these situations. So you and I worked with Susquehanna, Coach Perkovich. We appreciate him cooperating with this, because there were 2 plays in particular at Susquehanna that we wanted to see. We had a great broadcast feed from Susquehanna. Not too high, not too low, and usually spot on with respect to what we needed to see.
Just right.
Yep. So let's take a look first at the touchdown, or would-be touchdown, that was popped out for a fumble into the end zone situation. Again, we're going to look at it from the broadcast feed, and it looks great. I mean, you can clearly see that his foot may have been in, but the ball was still behind the line, popped out, stayed in bounds, and the player that recovered it was in bounds as well. Touchback going the other way. Okay, let's see. This was obviously a challenge play. Let's see if this withstood review. Now, you would think this great broadcast angle would be the definitive angle. Guess what? They're not allowed to use it. I'm going to show you the 2 angles that they had to use for the officials to review this. First, we're going to look at the end zone view. And that end zone view, JB, really is not looking too good here. I'm not sure what we could really tell from this play aside from the ball's laying in the end zone. Okay, so
Whoops.
We better hope the other view is going to do something to help us, save some face. And honestly, it didn't. It's too far away. You could zoom all you want. I don't know what you're going to see in that. And so the only really good view of it was a view not available to the officials that was still technically an official broadcast of this playoff. So what are we doing here? Okay, but if you think that's bad, okay, next up, let's look at the targeting play. Again, I'll give you a frame from the thing. So if they have the ability on the field to pause and go frame by frame like we do, they would see basically a crouch and jump scenario into the neck area of the Washington Jefferson player, and that should do it. That's a pretty easy call right there. That is targeting. Well, let's take a look again. Well, from the end zone view, can't see much of anything to be able to tell where that impact came, because that's for a defenseless player, which Kellen Stahl was, having just thrown the ball. That matters there. So let's go again to the wide view. And boy, again, it's way too far to make or ascertain where that hit came. Again, the best view of this...
Can't see anything.
Yeah, the best view of this, again, came from the broadcast feed that they can't use. Now, weirdly, here's the thing that people don't understand. Targeting, normally when we do reviews, you have to see evidence to turn it into the other direction, right? So if it's a completion, you got to make sure the ball hit the ground or there wasn't a completed catch or something like that. You got to see something convincing, clear and convincing to, overturn
Football
it.
move or something, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, yeah. Targeting's the opposite. You actually have to reconfirm the targeting using video evidence. Now, there's a question out there. Some people raise this to me, and I get the question. With these views that the refs have, how do they even maintain targeting ever? Because these are two really tough views. You can't be guaranteed that those views are showing what they need to be showing, and in this case, they didn't really. They did keep the targeting in this case. It was clearly targeting. I think everybody in that stadium agreed that that was targeting, so luckily it wasn't overturned. Well, let's go to my situation, go back to the Framingham State situation, where Ched Smith, you can't see the front view, but you can certainly see that the Framingham State player's head cocks back instantly and in a very weird manner, angled. And it looked, you can call him a defenseless receiver there because he was attempting to make a play for the ball, and he got clocked. Okay, everybody on the LaGrange sideline assumed Ched Smith was out for the game. Everybody in the Framingham State sideline assumed that too. Well, funny thing happens in this situation. Again, they can't rely on my video, and Framingham State actually wanted it in case they couldn't get the second angle popped out, and they couldn't get it popped out. So with all the video issues they were having with ESPN Plus, it actually affected their ability to timely get the other view that they needed to the referee. So the whole domino effect of the crap that happened on Saturday really didn't help matters. So we had one view for the officials to review, and the one view wasn't telling enough to confirm it. So everybody there who assumed that this was a good targeting call was shocked to hell, including Coach Dobson, because I had to explain to him what happened on the sideline. The site rep explained it to a certain degree, and he was shocked. And I'm walking with him, and I'm like, look, you just won because technology sucked here today. And they won that challenge or won that review. And you know what? Consider yourself lucky and have a great second half, coach. He kind of laughed at me, but he knew what I was saying, and he even admitted in the press conference he assumed Ched Smith was done. We all did.
Yeah.
Everybody that saw my video, and I don't know where Pat on Around the Nation, he mentioned their show earlier, he made it sound like my video showed it wasn't. It absolutely was. That's a defenseless player, and it looked like the contact made was to the head, to the helmet neck range. That is all you need. The crouch and jump into that zone, you're done. That's it. But because they didn't have an angle, they couldn't do it, or they couldn't sustain it. Yeah. And so you got to ask the questions.
And I think that was Pat's point, was that basically the call was that it wasn't, and so that was it. But yeah, there's a little more context there.
Yeah. So the two things I'd like to sort of just throw to you here is, you saw the angles. I provided all the three different angles for both calls of Susquehanna, and you kind of were like, I can't see anything. What are we doing here? Those are the review angles, the two that you saw. I mean,
just like,
yeah. And they're looking at it on a tablet, don't forget, too. And I understand that the broadcast feed is not in the tools that they use, because it's a coach's tablet, basically, they're giving them. So that's why they're getting the high and tights and the wides, too. But they could probably feed the broadcast feed into there in the same manner if they pre-planned it. Why aren't we?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, Trinity is not going to be doing replay review, from what I understand. I think for the same reasons. They have all these terrific cameras at Trinity, and on the field, up above, drone.
They got drones above and all sorts of stuff going on. They're one of the best broadcasts, period.
The only reviews they'll have is targeting reviews, which are mandated basically at this point anyway, if they have the ability to show an angle. So that's a loss, because Trinity, of all people or all schools, could do this. But if this is what we're doing, then they're not going to do it. And I can't blame them for it. You know what? Focus on getting your broadcast right, because that seems to be half the battle right now with all these things. But
just try to get it on the air, please. There's a lot of fans who want to see it.
But, I think a lot of fans have this idea that all these angles that you're watching on the screen and everything are available to the referees in replay review. No. And I wanted to give you the best possible view of how this works, because it's not there. And so when you're all upset with a referee, understand that they're not seeing what you're seeing necessarily. Even what's on that scoreboard that they show you sometimes at Susquehanna with the plays and the replays, that's not what they're seeing probably either. I think they're using the broadcast feed on the scoreboard there at Susquehanna. So, I get all these boos and everything on certain calls, and it's like, I don't know what you're booing. That's not what they're giving them to look at in the first place. Feel bad for the officials, because one of your replays for the fumble is basically not even on the damn fumble, so you only have one replay angle to look at. So there you go. JB, bowls, you brought it up earlier. Before we head into Crunchtime Express for the bowls, one thing I'm going to say to you, and I want your reaction, a lot of comebacks. And when you brought up the idea that they played these games hard to win and, really took these games to heart, that's sort of what gives me that feeling. They didn't just lay down and die, down 17 or whatever it may be. These teams played with pride every step of the way. Is that a good take?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, perfect example was, Stout down 17-0 early in the second quarter. Seemed like Washington U. I almost said Washington and Lee. The Bears were kind of just running all over them, and then Mullen and company just kind of picked themselves up and just went on a run. We saw that with a lot of games in the bowls where teams that were down, like ONU. I think they were down by 24 points, so they came back. They were in a position to win the game, and then there was just those crazy plays that Wabash made with the touchdown with 2 seconds left, and then the good 2-point pass on the no time. I mean, there's some crazy outcomes and some really exciting finishes. Like I said, I really feel like the bowl games outshone the playoffs, and it was stuff like that was why.
JB, great points there, and I think it's time to show folks what we're talking about, and it's time for Crunchtime Express for the bowl games of 2025's Division III college football season. We'll start with the Friday night game I attended, Merchant Marine at Curry. 9:29 left second quarter. Bubba Mustaine, a 2-yard touchdown run for the sophomore, made it 14-7, Merchant Marine leading the game. Then 8 seconds left in the second quarter, Mustaine again, another 2-yard touchdown run, made it 21-10, Merchant Marine leading at halftime. Third quarter, 5:32 left, and Curry's heard from as Kareem Chapman gets a 64-yard touchdown pass from Anthony Santino. 21-16 at that point, 5-point game. Fourth quarter, 11:04 remaining. It's Bubba Mustaine again. A 6-yard touchdown run made it 27-16. Merchant Marine leading the game. Curry wouldn't go away though. 5:39 left fourth quarter. Jordan DePina, an 8-yard touchdown run and a 2-point conversion pass by Wesley Williams are both good. It's 27-24 at that point, a 3-point game. We'll go 2:45 left fourth quarter. Here's 4th and 16, and Merchant Marine punts, but you'll see we'll try to get you a replay here to show you roughing the kicker is the call. And that would give a first down to Merchant Marine. They still face 4th and 1 from the Curry 5-yard line later. Mustaine gets 2 yards to the 3, and that would do it. Merchant Marine wins 27-24 in the Fusion Bowl. Monty Quinn left the game with an injury, but Mustaine with the 3 rushing touchdowns. Carnegie Mellon played host with Misericordia. Last second, literally, in the second quarter, Jordan Alston, 2-yard touchdown pass from Jacob Hunter. 2-point conversion rush by Hunter is good. It's 14-7 at that point, Misericordia. Third quarter, 2.5 minutes into it, though, you're going to see here that Hunter, sack, strip, fumble, all those things that could go wrong, including the scoop and score. 14 apiece as Connor Warren gets the 32-yard fumble recovery officially. Misericordia would add a field goal midway through the third quarter and make it 17-14 at that point. Then third quarter, 1:54 left. It's Reese Kolke. A 42-yard touchdown pass from Jackson Salters made it 21-17. Carnegie Mellon leading the game with 1:51 left third. Fourth quarter, 3:01 left. Justin Caputo, a 42-yard field goal made it a full 7-point lead at that point, 24-17 Carnegie Mellon. And then we'll see Jacob Hunter is intercepted here by Jack Lawson, and that would pretty much do it here as Carnegie Mellon won the game 24-17. Jackson Salters, 12 for 19, 127 yards and 1 passing touchdown in that Max Centennial Bowl series game. Dickinson at Del Val in the other Max Centennial Bowl that we have right now. Second quarter, 13:55 remaining. Dickinson's Dane Sorensen gets a 1-yard touchdown run to make it 10-0 as the Devils lead this game. Eventually, 13-7, Dickinson heading into the fourth quarter. 11:41 left fourth quarter. Gavin Migliori, a 64-yard touchdown pass from Mike Lasso, made it 14-13 at that point. Del Val leading. After a Dickinson punt with 3 minutes left, well, specifically 2:23 left fourth quarter, it's a 1st and 10, but 53 yards is gained, and that would do it as Del Val's Justin Brown put the game away at that point, actually with 1:48 left officially by the time it was all said and done. And that would do it 14-13. Del Val wins. Gavin Migliori, 10 catches, 191 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. JB, we'll stop here for a second, look at these first 3 games. Merchant Marine with the 2 wins in a row, huge ending for them after an up-and-down season. And Carnegie Mellon ending to get that 6-5 record instead of 5-6 was a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. I think those were both games where, the teams who had kind of had a little rocky roads here and there. I mean, Joey McGinnis, the fourth, didn't even play for Carnegie Mellon. I assume he must have been injured in the season finale or something. And so new quarterback and gets a chance to prove himself and does against a pretty good Cougars team that was one of the bigger surprises, I think, of the 25 season, at least in Region 1. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to Coach Larson and the Tartans in their first Max Centennial Bowl. I know they'd rather be in the NCAA playoffs, but this is a nice consolation prize, and I'm pretty sure the Tartans will be back.
Let's go to the top-level ECAC Bowl, the Asa Bushnell Bowl with Rowan at Utica. It was 19-7 Rowan at halftime. 12:56 left third quarter. Shane Martin, a 75-yard touchdown pass from Matt Welsey, as I believe Nate Myers was injured in this game. 26-7, Rowan leading this game. A 19-point lead. It's over. No, it's crunch time. Third quarter, 7:56 remaining. Logan Frederick gets a 16-yard touchdown pass from Tyler Salkowski. 26-13. They're trying to come back here. Then 7:59 left, fourth quarter. Lorenzo Velez gets a 13-yard touchdown pass from Zalkowski. 26-20 at that point, so they're within 6. Rowan missed a 33-yard field goal with 2:50 left. 4th and 3 here. Zalkowski's pass is caught for a first down for 6 yards, this time by Bryce Palmer, Then they face another 4th and 3 at the Rowan 26, and again it is complete, this time to Antonio Cianfrani, and so they are in business in the red zone, but you'll see eventually here an offensive face mask penalty is called, pushes them back. Eventually they're going to face a 4th and 25. Zalkowski is complete to Cianfrani, but they're only able to get basically 14 yards out of the 25 to get to the 19-yard line. They needed the 8, and that would do it. As Rowan wins the game 26-20. Eunice Bacula, 13 rushes, 118 yards, 1 rushing touchdown for Rowan. Ohio Northern in the Open Doors Bowl faced Wabash. This was the Forever Lawn Bowl. Second quarter, 11:14 remaining in it. Cannon Chase, a 9-yard touchdown pass from Jackson Gilbert, makes it 24-7 at that point, as it's Wabash leading by 17. 2 minutes left, second quarter. Kyle Celestin gets a 15-yard touchdown pass from Sam Feldman to make this a really close game at halftime. 24-21 suddenly, Ohio Northern surging back. Fourth quarter, 12:39 remaining. Louis Blasio gets a 28-yard touchdown run to give Ohio Northern a 7-point lead, 31-24, all the way back and then some. Wabash gets the ball back late with about 2 minutes left. In fact, we'll go to 1:03 left in this fourth quarter. 4th and 2 in a 3-yard rush makes it a first down near midfield. Then a 4th and 8 at the ONU 45-yard line. Gilbert complete to Nick Whitty for 20 yards, and they continue the drive. Then 4th and 8 at the ONU 23-yard line with 2 seconds left. Whitty finds Jackson Gilbert for the touchdown. They say, we are going to go for 2, and the pass attempt is good, and that would do it. Wabash in a topsy-turvy game wins 32-31. Gilbert 27 for 48, 303 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and the game-winning 2-point play. The pass was to Rowan Durbin. Stout versus Wash U in the Culver's Isthmus Bowl here. Another big comeback game here. Second quarter, 12:10 remaining. Matthew Kaneshita, a 7-yard touchdown pass from Levi Moore, our guest from Friday in the show, puts Wash U up 17-0. But we're going to show you Stout taking the lead. Third quarter, 9:31 left. Chandler Ross, a 9-yard touchdown run, 21-17. Stout would add a field goal late in the third quarter, make it 24-17. We'll go fourth quarter, 12:39 remaining. Will Gardner, a 1-yard touchdown pass from Levi Moore, makes it 24-23, only because the extra point in this situation was blocked. So Stout still with that 1-point lead. Then we'll go 11:19 left in the fourth quarter. Devontae Evans for Stout gets a 38-yard touchdown pass from Adam Moen, 31-23. So still one possession game at that point. 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Levi Moore here on 2nd and 10 is intercepted by Blaine Seidel, and that would not do it per se. They did have a Hail Mary attempt that also was intercepted, but pretty much that was it, as Stout wins this comeback 31-23 in the Isthmus Bowl. Wash U led 17-0 with 12:10 left in the second, and Adam Moen, 2 passing and 1 rushing touchdowns on the day. Back to you, JB, on this. Those 2 late comebacks, or 2 big comebacks. Actually, all 3 of them involved comebacks in this game, or in this stanza. Not all of them successful, but boy, they were exciting games.
Yeah, no, they all had great finishes. I mean, you know, it's like the thrill and the high for the teams that pull it off, but then it's also, you know, the gut punch for the teams that just come up a little short. But that's football, and that's what made, you know, all these bowl games so exciting. And I think it was they were really on, you know, the great talent and some great drama there at the end for these games, and they really delivered.
2 games left for me, and then we'll let you tell everybody about the rest of them. Washington Lee versus Lycoming in the Chesapeake Challenge Cape Charles Bowl. Second quarter, 9:13 remaining. WNL's Ryan Clemens gets a 4-yard touchdown run, 14-0. Washington Lee leading the game. Second quarter, 1:11 left in it. Lycoming's Carson Klein, a 7-yard touchdown pass from Joe Lyons, made it 14-6 as the conversion was no good. Fourth quarter, 3:20 remaining here, and it's Lycoming's Carson Klein with a 15-yard pass from Joe Lyons, 14-12. But we'll see here that the 2-point conversion pass is no good. So we would remain at 14-12. 40 seconds remaining, a 4th and 10 play here. Joe Lyons is sacked. Will Knight with that sack, and that would do it. Washington Lee wins this game 14-12. Ryan Clemens for WNL, 33 rushes, 188 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And in the other Chesapeake Challenge Bowl, the Cape Henry Bowl, it was Wilkes at Shenandoah. Third quarter, 9:23 remaining. Wilkes' Rob Barbieri gets a 30-yard pick six to make this game a 34-21 score. But Shenandoah would be heard from here with 14:26 remaining in the fourth quarter. It's Roger Walker getting a 20-yard touchdown pass from Mecky Brown, 34-28. Then Shenandoah would do it again. Fourth quarter, 2:08 remaining. Kyle Grant gets a 33-yard touchdown pass from Brown to make it 35-34 Shenandoah. But Wilkes would drive down the field. Nick Valpone with the 20-yard field goal to win in the 14-play drive, and it's good. 37-35. Wilkes wins the game with zeros on the clock as Valpone goes 3 for 3. That's it. Valpone with the winner on that one. JB, tell us about the rest of the bowl games that we didn't go through here.
Well, I mean, did you notice both the Chesapeake games were 2-point games? I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, they put on a great show. The last 6 bowl games, maybe not as competitive. There were some that were close for a while, and then certain teams pulled away. You know, your Sinus took care of Lebanon Valley. Jason Bernard had 133 yards rushing, a couple of touchdowns. RPI was down, but eventually, thanks to the efforts of their quarterback, Anthony DiMatteo, who didn't throw the ball much, but he was almost perfect, 13 of 17, 132 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Yeah, he did throw a couple of interceptions, but hey, you know, the end of the day, RPI takes the Chapman Bowl back to Troy, and they're happy about that. Brockport, I would love to have, you know, maybe written a nicer send-off for Coach DeMarco and the Golden Tornadoes, but Isaiah Simmons just had a day. He was just unstoppable, 21 rushes, 271 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and it was a nice birthday present for our friend Coach Potter to get the Whitelaw Bowl trophy on his birthday last Saturday. Down in the Bronx, my Hobart Statesmen win 42-14. Another running back who's really good, E.J. Taylor, had another 100-yard plus game, 172 technically, with 2 rushing touchdowns for the Statesmen, who finished the year 6-5 and James Lina Bowl champs. And then in the other Open Doors Bowl game, the extra points, it was funny because there were a few missed extra points in this game actually, but the Titans take care of business. It was really the Cannon brothers, Clayton, who had 24 rushes for 89 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, and his brother Bright, who had 4 receptions for 140 yards. A great combo there. The Titans win for the second year in a row in Open Doors Bowl, so congrats to them. Last but not least, in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, Aurora takes care of Illinois College 49-14. Liam Mickle had 168 total yards and 1 pass, 2 rushing touchdowns. Had an interception, but doesn't matter. They got that Cookie Lakefront Bowl trophy, and so the Spartans end the year 8-3.
And that was Crunchtime Express for the bowl games of the 2025 Division III college football season. JB, hit me with your MVPs here as we're running out of time.
Yeah, really quick. I'm going to go with this freshman, Leo Dauberman from Muhlenberg. Don't usually give these out to freshmen, but he had 2 interceptions in the big Union game. So, you know, credit for him really stepping up to take care of business. On the offensive side, Ben Juska, you're going to love that photo. I mean, I never had a chance to have a tight end to be an offensive MVP, and even though this game wasn't close, a guy scored 2 rushing and two receiving touchdowns. The guy is a machine, so I had to give a shout out to Ben and Wheaton for that one. And then last but not least, it kind of wraps a nice bow on the 25 season for me. We met him back in the preseason at the Landmark Media Day. Real character, Nick Volpone, Italiano, kicker. Made it when his team needed 3 field goals. I mean, basically, you know, he helped get that and send his senior class off with a bowl victory. So congratulations, Nick, and it was a nice way to wrap it up for the Wilkes.
Quickly here, let's just go back through these games that are coming up. We'll talk more about them on our live show whenever it is this week. Mount Union now will be hosting Muhlenberg. Berry will be hosting LaGrange in the rematch. In the middle games there, we already knew about Trinity hosting Hardin-Simmons. I will be attending that game. And John Carroll hosting Randolph-Macon. Going down from there, we're looking for the North Central bracket, and here it is. And it's going to be North Central hosting Hanover, Bethel hosting Co. The two games we knew about were Hope hosting UWL and UWP hosting Alma. On the right side, we're going to go to the Wartburg bracket, and we're going to see here Wartburg is now hosting Wheaton. That's got a good game on paper, to say the least. And UW River Falls hosting Chapman. UW River Falls better just score early and quick, because you don't want Chapman hanging around. We know that at this point. No. Whitewater hosting DePauw and St. John's hosting Monmouth are two games we knew about there. And finally, we're going to Christopher Newport's bracket, where they're hosting Susquehanna in the rematch. Hopefully it won't be raining this time. Mm-hmm. And Johns Hopkins hosting Springfield in a game that you're saying look out for F&M versus Eastern, and Salisbury hosting Endicott also. So some quality games in that Christopher Newport bracket.
The Gold Bowl.
All over the country, I think that we have some really quality games. Which games are you most looking forward to right now, if you had to tell folks what to watch? We'll do it again later on this week.
I'm really interested to see St. John's and Bethel, because other than the game they played against each other, they kind of just blew through the rest of their competition. I want to see how they play against, a little more playoff caliber, national caliber opponent. I don't think anyone should sleep on Monmouth. They've been a good team all season, and so they're going to bring it to the Johnnies. I mean, I know that they're excited about being able to play at home, and they do well at home typically. So that should be a good one. And then on the flip side, this Brady Kelly guy can really sling it. Bethel has a great defense. So will this be kind of what we saw in the Wartburg game, where the Co was clipped and they couldn't do anything, or maybe they'll make a game of it?
We will find out. We'll talk to you folks later on in the week. Thanks for joining us for our Crunch Time episode, and we will definitely have a lot more on round 2 of the playoffs coming up, as JB will dance for you as well. It'll be a great show, I'm sure, no matter what, but maybe a little surprise coming up on the live show. We'll fill you in at once we know more ourselves. For now, for JB, Frank saying have a great rest of the week, folks, and happy Thanksgiving.